Since everybody's talking about ChatGPT, and since everybody's favourite billionaire Elon Musk has made teachers the world over very sad by suggesting that it's made schoolwork redundant, I thought I'd better put it to the test. For those who haven't heard of it, ChatGPT is an artificially intelligent chatbot that can interact with humans in a very lifelike way and follow prompts to perform all kinds of tasks, from giving advice to writing entire essays. So I asked it to give me a short script for a video about the founding of the city of Berlin. Now, when I read it, I noticed that it made absolutely no mention of Köln, which is actually very important for the history of Berlin, so I asked it to tweak my script, and it crashed. Now, I have experimented with ChatGPT before now, and it does occasionally throw up error messages. It's a new technology, and it's still in the experimental stage, so this is just the kind of thing that you have to expect. But I was able to reload the conversation, and after another false start, it gave me the updated script. Now, I don't quite know what to make of the direction flashback to the 13th century, but here's the result. Berlin is the capital and largest city of Germany, with a rich and complex history dating back over 750 years. But how did this city come to be? In the year 1237, the Margrave of Brandenburg, Albert the Bear, founded the city of Berlin on the banks of the river Spree. At the same time, a nearby town called Köln was also founded. Located in the northeastern region of Germany, Berlin was strategically situated at the crossroads of important trade routes. Köln was located on the opposite side of the Spree, just across from Berlin. As the two cities grew, they became important centres for trade and commerce, attracting merchants, artisans and intellectuals from all over Europe. In the 15th century, Berlin and Köln merged to form the city of Berlin-Köln. Today, Berlin is a thriving metropolis known for its vibrant culture, diverse population and rich history. But it all started with the founding of Berlin and Köln in the 13th century. Well, I did ask for a short script, and that's exactly what I got. But how did it perform? Obviously, a text of this length can't go into any detail, so of course it is vague, but I asked for the story of the founding of Berlin, and what I got back was little more than it was founded, and then it grew. I mean, yes, but the most important details that it does give are wrong. Now, I'll be honest here, I expected to have to hunt around a bit to find some mistakes. I did not expect to get back something so terribly misinformed. The second sentence states that Berlin was founded by Albert the Bear in 1237. And by the way, Albert the Bear was a man who was simply called the Bear, not a bear called Albert. Anyway, Albert the Bear in 1237. That's two factual errors right there. First, Albert the Bear was already long dead in 1237. He died in the year 1170. Now, for reasons that I'll go on to explain in a minute, Berlin was most likely founded before 1237, but it is quite certain that Albert the Bear had nothing to do with it. The reason he is popularly associated with the founding of Berlin is that it was assumed the city was named in his honor, but there's no evidence for that. The most likely derivation of the name is from an Old Slavic word meaning swamp. Not an attractive name for a city, but it is actually built on very marshy soil. And as for the date of 1237, that is not the date of the founding of Berlin. That is the date of the oldest document that we know of that mentions Köln. The oldest mention we have of Berlin dates to 1244. We actually don't know when these two towns were founded, but it was most likely decades previously. Whatever documents there were of their founding have apparently been lost. All we can say for certain is that Köln was founded before 1237 and Berlin before 1244. And as the dad joke would have it, that's lunchtime. It is true that for the purposes of estimating the age of the city, the date 1237 is the one that's usually taken. So, for example, the official celebrations for the 750th anniversary were held in 1987. but that doesn't mean that 1237 is the date of its actual founding. Now, I am not saying that ChatGPT is a pile of junk. It is in fact a very impressive piece of software, an exciting evolution in computer technology that holds great promise for the future. But here's the truth, we call it artificially intelligent, but it is not, in fact, intelligent. It is still just a computer program, a very sophisticated one, but it has no capacity to think for itself. It simply accepts an input, processes it, and produces an output. That is literally all it does. And because that's all it does, the age-old principle still applies. Garbage in, garbage out. Which means that ChatGPT is only as good as the data that was used to train it, and it was trained using articles taken from the internet, which, as we all know, is full of garbage. And in the FAQs, the creators themselves point out that it is quite likely to provide incorrect answers. It is not designed as a replacement for Google. It is designed as an experiment, and its main goal is just to talk like a human. There are many possible uses for it. Doing your homework is not one of them. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed that video. This has been me, Rewboss, absolutely, definitely not a bot. Error, error, error.